Sadiq salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
He's explaining the meaning of tawwab, and he gives an example that you are out in the jungle with some campers, few campers in the jungle, and in the midst of the jungle, you somehow lose contact with your companions, and they go one direction and you go the other direction, and in that you get lost in the jungle. After a couple of days that you move around desperately trying to look for your companions or find your companions, after a couple of days you see in the middle of the night somewhere there is some light there, and then when you go there and you see that you find your companions, the kind of that inner happiness that comes into you, the satisfaction of finding your friends. This is the meaning of tawwab. When a person comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the tawbah, this is the kind of reception that Allah gives this person, of finding someone who was lost. So this is the example that Imam Jafar Sadiq is giving. Tawbah begins from Allah. Again, an example will help. He says a father and a son have a problem at home, and the son leaves the father. He leaves home. He's upset. He gets upset and he leaves home. He does not understand the relationship of a father to a son, but the father does understand that because he has the inner love of the child in his heart. So the father would send someone, a friend of his, and will tell his friend that please go and explain my son, tell him to come back to me. Tell him, so father is initiating that. So when this friend goes to the son, tells him, you better return back to your father. And when this boy comes back to his father, the father receives him with two hands. So the tawbah starts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He gives you an excuse to come back to him. And when you go back to him, he accepts you with two hands. Look at the opportunities that are available for us. And this is the reason why on the day of judgment, it is more called the day of regret. The day when we will realize that so many opportunities were given to us, we did not take these opportunities. There is one most amazing ayah in the Holy Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَأُولَٰئِكَ يُبَدِّلُ اللَّهُ سَيِّئَاتِهِمْ حَسَنًا. A person with tons of sin comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala seeking forgiveness. Allah in the Holy Quran says, I shall convert all your past sin into good deeds. See the bonus that you are getting? So the opportunities are there. And then of course, Surah Zumar, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. We all know very well what this ayah means. Imam Ali alayhi salam says that this is one of the most merciful ayah in the Holy Quran. Allah is addressing me as His ibadi. It's an order. He's giving me a status. But then, which ibadi? قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. A guy who has sinned already, he's a sinner, yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing him as my servant. قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. Do not despair, Baba. Don't despair whatever you may have done. I read in one hadith that you could be a killer of 70 prophets or 70,000 prophets. You could be a murderer, but you can still come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and perform your tawbah. How about us? The opportunities are all given to us, and Allah says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا. Not one, not two, not three. I'll give you a clean slate. I'll clean you up. You take the chance of coming back to me. Now, there are the 6 prescriptions of Imam Ali al-Islam. I don't think I will go into details of it. Very, very quickly, I'll just browse through it. Naushad is not there, so I'm not very much worried about the time. There was a person in the presence of Imam Ali al-Islam says, Astaghfirullah. So Imam says, may your mother cry on you. You know what you have just said? Al-Istighfar, he says, is meant for people of a very high rank. It's not a joke, what you just spoke. Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa Ta'ala. Al-Istighfaru darajatul illiyin. It is the daraja of illiyin, a very high status, this statement that you have spoken. Don't joke with it. You want to do istighfar, Imam says, I'll give you 6 prescriptions. The 6 prescriptions Imam is giving, number 1, now, not knowledge-based. Again, he says, number 1, to be remorseful for what I've done. Now, when can I be remorseful? At this state now, the way I am, maybe in the last couple of months, I've been praying all the time, I've been fasting, I've been doing a lot of good things. So the ego, the inner feeling that I'm getting is, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm fine. But I forget that the last 45 odd years that I have lived, oh, what mess have I done? What about that? What about that? What if that thing comes to me first before my good deeds come in? What if? Chances are there. So Imam Ali al-Islam says you got to be remorseful, and I can only be remorseful when I need to sit on my own. Now these are practical prescriptions that we are reminding ourselves that yes, we did those, but maybe we are not following it up now, maybe. So it's a reminder, if we are not, let's start doing it. Because the accounting in any case is going to be very severe. So I better start making accounting on myself. So what I need to do is take a book and a black book at it, not a nice book, a black book. You know, scenes are black. So take a black book and start jotting down, make sure that your wife doesn't see, because the school days life are also there in the book. So write down all the things that you have, try and reflect back. School days, marriage, friends, outings, whatever. As you go on, connect it in such a way that combine your age with what you are, and then look at the friends that you are with, and you remember what events that you went to, and then things will start building up. Write it down. When you start reading your own book, that's what I was. Now that remorse should come from within. At this moment, I said, Alhamdulillah, I'm fine, mate. What is that for? People are crying for love. Why are they crying? This guy must have seen a lot of this face crying so much. You know? He must have done something, man. Why is he crying? Why am I not crying, man? You see, now, I think we need to go back and see and reflect. And these things will come up. So to regret, we have an example of Bushr Hafi. Bushr Hafi was one of the, again, in the time of Imam Sakazim, the 7th Imam, Salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Was very notorious in the sense that music and women and wine and the works, you know, in his house, parties and everything. Once Imam was passing his house and he heard some music coming from his house. Imam's slave was out there, a servant was out there trying to clean up, and Imam is telling the servant that, is your master a free man or a master? And Imam leaves. Just one sentence. Imagine, these are the words of Imam. Mention. The great mention. Is your master, your boss, is he a master or a slave? He goes, when the servant goes back in, Bushr Hafi is asking the servant, who was that person? He says, I don't know who that person was, but he was talking to you. What was he telling you? He says, he asked me one question. He says, you tell me what it was. He said, okay, since you were asking, I'll tell you. He said, is your boss a master or a servant? He said, what did you reply? He said, I replied that you are a master. Imam had told him, I'm sorry, I'm going a bit fast, it's coming off. Imam told the servant that since your boss is a master, that is the reason why he is doing what he is doing. If he was a slave, he would not be doing what he is doing. That was the sentence. So this man passes the message to Busharhafi. Busharhafi immediately recognizes that this person can be none other than our Salaf Imam. He runs after the Imam, bare feet. His name is Busharhafi, he is bare feet, without sneakers. He ran to Imam, and this one sentence of Imam hit him so much that this person changed. They say in all his life, he never wore shoes again. Somebody asked him once, when he reached that level of irfan, somebody asked him once that, how come you don't wear shoes or footwear? He says, I'm walking on the tablecloth of God. How can I put on slippers? Now that's the level that he had reached. That this is the tablecloth, the sufra, this whole earth is the sufra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can I step on this with my footwear? So, this is basically being remorseful. And this person, this was what his state was. Number two, Imam says, is to resolve never to return to what has been done in the past. I'll give you, and inshallah, for me as well, I need it more than anyone else, that the blessing is that we are almost midway through Rajab. We got 15 more days of Rajab, and we got 30 more days, inshallah, of Shaban, before we enter the holy month of Ramadan. I would suggest to myself, I was thinking about it, and I thought I'll share this with you, that in this 1.5 months, let's make some resolutions, like Imam says, to resolve never to return back to that sin. Okay? So tonight, for instance, I got some amal that I will share out with you. Tonight, we make a resolution. Tonight, not tomorrow. Tonight, we make a resolution that after I have made a brief list of what I have been doing in the past, and even now, there are certain things that I may be still doing, I make a list of all those things, and I make a resolution that for these 45 days only. After 45 days, go back to your normal life, the way you want to do it. Enjoy yourself. But these 45 days, Rajab and Shaban, I shall not go back to what I used to be, for sure. Make that resolve. Talking to women, making them laugh, watching movies, riba, whatever. Be firm only for these 45 days. That's it. After that, let's enjoy ourselves. But inshallah, this will be a magic, because they say for 40 days only, you're doing 5 days extra. But if you do this for 40 days, goodness will flow from you naturally. It will become your second nature. So let's enter the holy month in a state of purity, in a state of goodness, inshallah. Number 3, Imam says, to return to the creatures their rights, so that you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whilst you have nothing on your shoulder. Now we have the hukuk nas as well, the right of man as well. How many people have I heard? I may have done a lot of backbiting of people behind their backs, and in public, when they're not present there, and then I go to him individually and I said, I'm sorry, I talked about it. It doesn't